it right, heavy. So you got to think about it full spectrum when we're talking about trade Jettas or keep Jettas or what you could get for them, whatever, you know. And whatever quarterback you bring in here, right, needs weapons to throw to, needs someone to throw to. Yeah. But Jettas recently spoke, had an interview or a presser, whatever. Like I said, I'm gonna get into the video in a minute, but he basically spoke about Sam Darnold, how he feels about Darnold. Pretty much said he feels like the team maybe would have been better with Darnold if Darnold would have stayed in the building. You know, like I say, that's all a toss up. You don't know for sure, especially with the coaching, the type of coaching KOC has been doing the past 4 years. People think, oh, a quarterback will solve the situation. A quarterback will make things better. No. I mean, we saw the same thing with Kirk Cousins when he came in the building. Everybody thought, oh, Kirk Cousins, that's the Super Bowl piece. You bring in Kirk, you get to the Super Bowl. As we saw, that was one big illusion. So, like I said, it's no guarantee if Sam Darnold would have remained in the building that the Vikings would have had the same season that the Seahawks had. It's not just about Darnold being a quarterback, right? Other people, other factors play a role. Number one, coaching. You compare the way McDonald coaches, Clint Kubiak, who is now probably going to accept a head coaching job once the season is over, once it's all said and done. So it's no guarantee that KOC and Wes Phillips and his staff would have handled Sam Darnold the same way they did. You hear me? Heavy. You're talking about two totally different offenses, And like I've been telling y'all, Sam Darnold peeped the room. He observed what was going on. He knew who KOC was and is as a play caller. It had nothing to do about the money, about the contract. It came down to he knew, period. He knew, right? Seattle was the better fit. Yeah, Seattle was the better place for him to be. And looking at it now, he made the correct decision. Heavy, man, to benefit himself, his family, etc., etc., etc. See, Seattle, the difference with Seattle, they knew for a fact what they needed to do with the quarterback of Sam Darnold's caliber. They understood you can't put it all in his hand, all on his shoulders, but you can do it to a certain extent. But you have to do it a certain way, right? It has to be orchestrated. The offense has to be orchestrated a certain way. Your playbook, right? Your damn playbook has to look a certain way, baby, in order for Sam Darnold to prosper. Even when you're behind, even when the game gets tough, you still do things a certain way. You still call certain play calls. And who understood that? Clint Kubiak, Mike McDonald, etc., etc., etc. And that's why they had their success. They weren't stuck in their egos, right? They weren't stuck on, doing it their way. They made the necessary adjustments, sometimes on the fly, even. Something KOC can't do and refuses to do. He hasn't done it in 4 years. And we see who's held accountable, baby, and who's not held accountable, right? Right. I mean, people making a big deal about Kwesi leaving for his child being born. Oh, he shouldn't have did that. He shouldn't have done that. And I understand. Taking a time of leave at that point in the season or the off season, probably not a great move. But at the end of the day, they let Kirk Cousins do it all day, homie. Kirk Cousins didn't even work on Tuesdays. And Kevin O'Connell, the Wilfs, nobody else, not even Kwesi, you hear me, had a problem with it. JJ McCarthy has a newborn. He misses what? 1 day of practice. And it's a big deal. Kevin O'Connell makes a big deal all in the pressers, interviews. all at the podium talking about, oh, he missed practice. We need this. We need to do that. But once again, Kirk Cousins missed Tuesdays every year. Bum quarterback, never winning nothing. He missed Tuesdays, refused to work on Tuesdays because he wanted family time. And didn't nobody in the organization have a problem. But now Quasi takes some leave. Now we're hearing this being brought up. JJ McCarthy missed a day of practice. Boom. Now that messes up all the chemistry for the whole year, so to say. So you see the politics, bro, the favoritism, the protection that certain individuals get. So yeah, the Minnesota Vikings as a whole, as a team, looking very suspect right now, right? Looking very bad right now. The way Quasi was fired was very bad timing, everything. Mark Wilf, I broke Mark Wilf's whole presser down. He was up there aligned the whole presser. Everything he said, he was contradicting himself in the Vikings organization, right? You could tell it was straight lies, bro. Boom. No way around it, homie. Yeah. So it's going to be very intriguing to see which direction the Vikings go in. You know, heavy, man. Early. Make sure you come in the chat, like it up. Let's get into some of these comments real quick, right quick. Who we got in the building? Tech, what up, big dog? My dog Tech Jedi in the building. What up, Holmes? No more excuses. KOC can't run and hide now. Big facts, Tech. Tell no lies. I repeat, tell no lies, baby. Yeah, SKOL VIKES. You hear me? Heavy. Let's get it, man. Yeah. The Easy Way 1989. He says, fuck Crips. The Easy Way, I'm not sure why you're putting fuck Crips in the comments in the chat. Are you assuming I'm a Crip? Are you assuming someone in the chat is a Crip? The Easy Way. Is my bandana throwing you off? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He talking about fuck Crips. Guess what? The Easy Way. I don't gang bang. You hear me, dog? Huh? Heavy, man. Yeah. So I don't know why you coming in here talking about fuck the Crips like somebody a Crip up in here. You know. Man. Yeah, I ain't a Crip, I ain't a blood, I ain't none of that, man. You know what I mean? Heavy. No cap, no doubt. So you can take that energy elsewhere, you know, but take it away from round yonder. Matter of fact, while you coming in here talking nonsense, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell as well. You hear me? The Easy Way 1989. Get your mind right, boy. I repeat, get your mind right, my boy. Yeah. You know, Cindy Mathis in the building. Cindy Mathis in the building. What up, Cindy? I hope all is well. You hear me? Heavy. SKOL VIKES. Do you play Dungeons and Dragons? Space Lagoon in the building. Space Lagoon, no. Morning, Big SKOL. Never a dull moment with the Vikes. My boy JD in the building. My boy JD in the building. That's big facts, JD. You hear me? That's big facts, dog. No cap, huh? Yeah. Oh, man. I mean, will we ever see a dull moment this off season, JD? It's getting real crazy, man. Getting real delusional as well, JD. You hear me? Heavy. I mean, what is really going on in Minnesota? I mean, at this point, all we can do is what? Sit back and watch, sit back and observe, sit back and enjoy the show. You ask yourself, what's next? You know, JD, I'm really just interested in seeing what's going to happen in the draft. You know, who's really in control of this drafts. You know, that's my biggest thing right now. Right now, my focus is on. I really want to see how this draft goes. You know, Everybody put all this pressure on Quasi. Quasi can't do this. Quasi can't do that. Well, bet we gonna see. We gonna see. We're gonna see what type of moves the Wolves have made. We're gonna see what KOC can do. What this same scouting team who's been piss poor thus far in the draft can really do. But everybody said how bad Quasi was, and he was bad, atrocious, damn near. So we're gonna see if this piece of the regime can do it better. I mean, the Wolves are handing over this responsibility to a guy who handles the cap. He plays with the numbers, baby. He handles the cap salary week in, year out. What does he really know about identifying talent? You know, unless he's going to depend and rely heavy on KOC and his scouting room. But that scouting team hasn't been great. They've been piss poor, just like Quasi. So is that a coincidence? You know, like I said, the Wolves are making emotional moves because they feel like they have to. And I'm going to stand on it 10 toes down. Quasi was the scapegoat and they needed someone to pick from. They had to choose someone, and Quasi was the easiest one to sacrifice or pick or fire, whatever you want to call it, baby. Boom. Hands down, man down. No ifs, ands, buts about it, right? Right. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this draft goes. You know what I mean? They got KOC hiring coaches, you know, making certain maneuvers. But I don't believe in Rob Brzezinski. And you telling me Grigson is still in the building? Grigson, really? Talking about Ryan Grigson, who destroyed the Indianapolis Colts? And you depending and relying on him and his so-called football IQ? Come on, bro. Right now it's looking like one big joke round yonder. Leadership is all over the place. Sounds like a Chinese fire drill from top to bottom. They don't have a clue. Come on, man. Come on, bro. Come on, JD. Exactly what I'm talking about, man. Exactly what I'm talking about, man. Piss poor. Running around like chickens with their head cut off. I repeat, running around like chickens with their head cut off. KOC has no rhythm to his play calling. Our Madden championship winners cause better plays in their tournament. KOC makes me man, come on, JD. We know who the real problem is, homie. You hear me? Heavy. All you got to do is go back and observe the season. Watch every game if you want to. I mean, shit, hell, observe the last 3 seasons, homie, in big time games, right? Big time moments. This has been a problem for 4 years. This man ain't coached the full 4 quarters in what? 4 years. Now we coming up on year 5. And you expect change from him? You expect something different? Yeah, he showed improvement the last stretch of the season, but will he continue that? I mean, knowing KOC, he's going to go right back into his ego, him being stubborn, thinking he knows everything. I mean, the man said it in the presser, huh? He wants to run his old offense. He wants to run his offense a certain way, you know? So it's not about him adapting to his quarterback, putting his team in the best situation to perform at a high level. It's not about none of that, bruh. It's about him wanting to run the offense he wants to run, even if it doesn't fit his personnel, you know, even if running the ball more is more beneficial to this team. He wants it to look a certain way. He wants to throw a certain amount of times in a game to make himself feel better. You hear me, JD? You know what I mean? So he can feel okay with his play calling. What type of bullshit is that, bruh? Poppycock. Horse shit, bruh. Manure. I repeat, straight sewage manure. You can't tell me no different, baby. Yeah. Come on, homie. Stop the cap, homie. Yeah. My boy Tech in the building. Can we get an EJ presser where he stands up at the podium and says what the coaches should be saying instead of capping? My boy Tech, wow, man. And you know it, Tech. You know it, Tech. You know how I get down, Tech. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Stop playing with me. I wouldn't trust KLC for schedule a doctor appointment, bro. Come on now, Tech. You know what it is. You know what it ain't. I mean, why would we put trust in KOC ever, huh? What has he done? What has he proven, homie? That we have trust in his play calling, homie? We have trust in him for what? To put this team in the best position to win? Why? What for? You know? What for? Like, for real. All he has shown us is that what? He cannot really adapt. And every time he does adapt, I mean, even the last stretch of the season, man, we saw it the last 2 games. He always reverts back to his old ways. Very similar to who? Kirk Cousins. That's why I call him the Kirk Cousins of the head coach position. He always goes back to the old KLC. Always has a mental letdown, bro. A mental lapse for whatever reason. You know? But it's starting to make more and more sense. Make more and more sense. Everyone speaks about the Sean McVay, the McVay tree. But what we seen McVay have meltdowns in what? The Bears game and the Seahawks game. Horrible decisions all across the board. So is that really the domino effect of the McVay tree? And like I say, it might be a new tree in the building, the McDonald tree or the Vrabel tree, baby. Yeah. That's just simply what it is. So no, I have no faith and trust in KOC. Now, do I want him to do good? Yeah. Do I want him to succeed? Hell yeah. Why wouldn't I, homie? Why wouldn't I? If he succeeds, guess what? The team succeeds. You hear me? Heavy. You know? So let's just be real here. So I'm gonna get into this whole Justin Jefferson situation. Matter of fact, I'll probably drop the link earlier. I'll probably drop the link earlier after this article right here. So if you want to come up, rock and roll with me, homie, lock in with me, come do that. You hear me? Heavy. But I want to get into this Justin Jefferson situation first. And we all pretty much know what time it is with Jettas, bro. You know, this is really a make it break it year for Jettas. I mean, how long would he want to remain a Viking if it's not a real change? If the offense comes out and does piss poor again, I mean, could you blame him for requesting and demanding a trade? I mean, Jettas is a pure winner, bro. He wants to win. I repeat, he wants to win. So yeah, man, I would not be shocked at all. Especially wouldn't be mad at Jettas if he wanted to leave the Vikings after this year, right? If the team is showing no progress, stay for what? I repeat, stay for what, dog? This man can go anywhere he wants to, any team in the land, even some of the best teams, right, in the land, and compete for a Super Bowl. That's his ultimate goal. I repeat, compete for a Super Bowl, right? That is his ultimate goal. I'm going to go ahead and dive into the article real quick. Boom. Justin Jefferson, Vikings would have done better if Sam Darnold stayed. Oh, wow. Let me know in the chat. Do you agree or disagree? Do you think for sure, are you for certain, if Sam Darnold remained a Viking, do you think the Vikings would have made it to the Super Bowl? Right? Thinking about all the factors that go into winning and even competing for a championship. Do you think the Vikings would have been in the same spot the Seahawks are today? I don't, bro. I really don't. Huh? You know, I really don't. Period. Bottom line, no cap. For Justin Jefferson, Super Bowl week carries a strange mix of admiration and regret. The Viking star wide receiver can't help but look at this year's matchup and wonder how different the story might have been if Minnesota had stayed the course at quarterback. As the Seattle Seahawks prepare for Super Bowl 60 with Sam Darnold under center, Jefferson admitted the thought has crossed his mind more than once. Asked by USA Today whether the Vikings could be in this spot instead of Seattle had Darnold remained in purple, Jefferson didn't hesitate. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Very interesting, baby. Very interesting, baby. No cap. So that tells you right there, having a competent quarterback, a quarterback Jettas believes in is very important. Heavy. Minnesota's 2025 season unfolded far differently than the one before. After a 14-3 campaign in 24 led by Darnold, the Vikings entered this year juggling quarterbacks J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz, and Max Brosmer, a rotation that made consistency hard to find. The result was a 9-8 finish in an early offseason, a sharp contrast from the team that had been among the NFC's elite just a year earlier. I mean, were they really elite, baby? I mean, what is elite? I mean, wouldn't you call elite winning at least one playoff game, right? Come on, bro. What is elite for real in the NFL? Meanwhile, the most impactful absence from that roster, Darnold, is preparing for the biggest game in football. Everyone knows the difficulty of the quarterback position this year, how we were dealt it, Jefferson said, and it's impossible not to imagine the alternative. Jefferson believes familiarity alone could have shifted Minnesota's trajectory. Having a quarterback that already had a season under his belt with us, knew the plays, knew the playbook, knew the players throwing to me, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, all these guys. I definitely feel like we would have done better, but it is what it is. It's on to newer and better things. But I'm definitely happy and proud of him that he is able to reach it this year. And shout out Jettas, bro, for just being honest. And you speak of chemistry. Oh yeah, it would have been more chemistry second year in the offense. All right, cool, boom. But that chemistry doesn't mean that chemistry equals a Super Bowl appearance. Like I say, it would have came down to KOC and his coaching ways. Just like we saw this year, KOC refused to change when he needed to. But I'm glad Jetta said on to newer and better things. I'm sure he was referring to McCarthy. And he definitely believes in McCarthy. Called him his youngin', co-signed him, talked about getting ready for the offseason and to put the real work in. And believe you me, if KOC would have took it seriously and really developed and worked with his quarterback instead of assuming that his offense would work, right? If he had chose to be a real head coach and a real QB whisperer, and that title is revoked as well, because he's really not the QB whisperer of nothing. I mean, you can't develop a rookie quarterback with all the talent in the world. You're calling yourself a QB whisperer? Man, stop the cap on that, first of all. But if KOC would have put the real work and time in with McCarthy, the Vikings would have been in a better situation, right? And you got to give some responsibility to Jettas and McCarthy and the whole receiving room as well, tight end room, all that. Because they could have took it upon themselves to get in the extra reps this offseason, right? Right. Put the extra work in together, off-season program, running routes, meeting up on certain days, going over the playbook, just putting a real grind work in, right? Building a solid foundation. We talk about chemistry. Boom. We talk about relationships, right, bro? Boom. Instead of just sitting and watching Minnesota Timberwolves games, they could have been on the field, right? Preparing to have a successful season, building chemistry that was lacking this year. So I'm tired of hearing about, Sam Darnold this, bro, Sam Darnold that. It's cool. It's cool. Jettas believes that they could have been a successful team this year, but Jettas needs to understand, which I'm sure he does, And I know it's certain things he has to say a certain way, really can't say too much. But it's no guarantee the Vikings would have been in a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold being the quarterback. Not with this coaching staff and not what they've proven or shown this year. Period. Bottom line, homie. No cap. But shout out to Sam Darnold, bro. Respect, big props to Sam Darnold. I wish him the best. No cap. For Jefferson, there's pride in seeing a former teammate thrive, even if it comes with a lingering sense of what might have been. The ripple effects of Minnesota's quarterback shuffle showed up clearly on the stat sheet. Jefferson's numbers took a noticeable hit from one season to the next, dropping from 1,533 yards and 10 touchdowns in 24 to 1,048 yards and just 2 scores in 25. And we know why he had a drop in numbers. We know all the factors that played a major role. And it starts with your head coach, bro. KOC. Boom. And even with all the dysfunction in the offense surrounding this offense, he still put up 1,000. I repeat, he still put up 1,000, homie. Yeah. Still, as he reflected on the difference Darnold might have made, Jefferson made a point not to cast blame on McCarthy. Instead, he emphasized patience and long-term belief in the young passer. I'm going to get to the video in a second. So this pretty much stats about Darnold. We already know about Darnold. So this year with Seattle, he had 4,048 passing yards and 25 touchdowns. Let's see what Jetta said about this here. Just get to the video. Let me share the screen right fast. You hear me heavy? Let me share the screen right fast. Give me 1 second, man. 1 second. Just so y'all can see the whole video, right? Right.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you guys had a good shot last year. Obviously, your quarterback last year is now going to the Super Bowl. How bittersweet is that watching, Sam Darnold? Obviously, you're rooting for him, but, just throwing passes to you a year ago.
For sure. It's definitely tough. It's tough to watch. Of course, I love that he's in the Super Bowl. I'm happy for him. I want nothing but the best for him, especially the way his journey was at first.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you guys had a good shot last year. Obviously, your quarterback last year is now going to the Super Bowl. How bittersweet is that watching, Sam Darnold? Obviously, you're rooting for him, but, just throwing passes to you a year ago.
For sure. It's definitely tough. It's tough to watch. Of course, I love that he's in the Super Bowl. I'm happy for him. I want nothing but the best for him, especially the way his journey was at first. And, people doubting him and people not giving him the respect. Now they're giving him that respect. Now they're seeing that he's a top tier quarterback in this league. And I, of course, selfishly, I wish that he'd done that for us last year. But, to see him blossom and bounce back right after last year and make it this year, I'm all happy for him, and I hope he wins. I'm rooting for Seattle, and I think Seattle is going to win. So I'll be rooting for him.
Shout out Jettas for just showing love and respect to Darnold. Heavy. And that's definitely the right thing for him to do. You know what I mean? Like anything else would be uncivilized. This isn't about nobody hating on Darnold or wishing him, harm or nothing like that, bro, or hoping he loses. No, may the best team win, homie. Yeah. As far as the Super Bowl goes, I feel like it'll be a real good Super Bowl, bro. Has the chance to be a legacy type Super Bowl. You hear me? A pure classic. Not the first time the Patriots and the Seahawks have met anyway. The last time they played in the Super Bowl, it was a classic game as well. You hear me? Heavy. So it's what it is, bro. Shout out to Sam Darnold, bro. Once again, Darnold's run has also placed him in rare company, becoming one of the few quarterbacks alongside Tom Brady to lead teams to at least 14 wins in consecutive seasons. In Minnesota, the fallout from a disappointing year has already begun. The Vikings are reshaping their leadership after firing general manager Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah on Friday, signaling that more change could be on the way. And I hope it is more change on the way. Shit, bro, you hear me? Heavy. I really want to see that boy B Flow a head coach. You know? That boy B Flow a head coach, baby. Yeah. They used Kwesi to sign Flo. Imagine if they had fired Kwesi before Flo's extension. Doubt he would have stayed. Shout out 410 Rishas in the building. Shout out 410 Rishas in the building. So they said they used Kwesi to sign Flo. Imagine if they had fired Kwesi before Flo's extension. Doubt he would have stayed. Why do you doubt that, though, 410? I must ask you, 410 Rishas, why do you doubt that? You know, you think Kwesi would have really had an impact of Flores staying or leaving? Or was it that he didn't get offered a job? I mean, he got head coaching interviews, 410, but I don't think it's any news of him getting offered a job from the Steelers nor the Ravens. So do you really believe that because they didn't fire Kwesi before Flo's extension that made him stay? I mean, I really don't think Kwesi had anything to do with him remaining. You hear me? Heavy. W Podcast, Go Vikings. Much appreciated, bro. We got Lillian Pump in the building. I repeat, Lillian Pump in the building, baby. Let's get it. You hear me? Heavy. He says W Podcast, Go Vikings, SKOL Vikes, baby. SKOL Vikes, you hear me? Heavy. Win, lose, or draw, but we come to win, baby. Yeah. All day, every day. Let's get it. Jefferson also forgot to mention that he missed camp for the majority. 410. You know, like I said, Jefferson isn't absolved from any blame. I mean, he could have put more work in with McCarthy as well. Understanding McCarthy is a young quarterback, right? Understanding McCarthy needs time to grow and progress. He definitely could have did more, right? For his younger quarterback to prepare him for the NFL season. So everyone takes the blame in this situation, man. No cap. You know, everyone takes the blame in this situation, bro. Hands down, man down, right? Even during the season, in season, Jettas dropped passes. Addison dropped passes. You know, Hawkinson dropped catches, man. You know, so you can't evade that, homie. You hear me? Heavy. Shout out Ralph in the building, bro. Shout out my dog Ralph in the building. You hear me? Heavy. I hate to say this, EJ, but not keeping Darnold was the most dumbest move since the Herschel Walker trade with the Cowboys. I mean, how can you how can you really say that though, Ralph? How do we know it was the dumbest move? And at the end of the day, Sam Darnold didn't really want to stay, Ralph. That's the thing about it. You hear me? You know, Sam Darnold didn't want to remain a Seahawk. So you can't force somebody to stay, bro. If he don't want to be here, right? I mean, the Vikings can't handcuff him like, hey, you're not going nowhere. You're not leaving. And once again, it's easy to sit back and say now, oh, it's a dumb move because the Seahawks are in the Super Bowl. I got to keep going back to it. It's no guarantee that the Vikings would be in the Super Bowl right now if they would have kept Darnold. Right? Just like the whole Joe Burrow situation. Oh, if we get Burrow, we're going to the bowl. No, it takes more than a quarterback, dog. Right? It takes a whole team, bro, a whole unit. It takes a competent coaching staff, bro, period. So people may be mad about Darnold leaving and want to use that as an excuse, but at the end of the day, Ralph, we don't know how this thing would have went, homie. We don't know how it would have turned out, homie. Heavy, homie. Yeah. You know, how about we deal with the players in the building, what KOC didn't do? How about we focus on that aspect of it, dog? You hear me? Like, why didn't KOC put real work in with McCarthy? You know, why didn't KOC understand his personnel and put them in the best position to win? That's the first question we must ask. And at the end of the day, Sam Darnold didn't want to be here or remain in the building. I don't care what nobody talking about, man. Like I said, he read the room, he peeped game, and he said, oh yeah, the Seahawks, they're going to put me in the best position to win, right? He seen what KOC could do. So it came